me see.
All
What
right. We're live. Stop saying
the.
Don't bring up Jason Aldean.
Okay.
Jason Aldean said, "Try that alien shit in a small town, see what happens."
See, I thought about saying something like that.
Oh man, I wish we could use that, Ronnie, but that's gonna be dated as shit in October.
It don't matter. Nobody's watching. 31 days of horror, day 8, Blake, and it's like those first 7 days flew by. It was a great first week.
It was a good first week, Ronnie, and I know I've probably said this already once. It really doesn't feel like October, does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't feel like we've already done 7 reviews because I can tell this month's going to go by really quickly. So today, Blake, two people are joining us for a review. We got Nick Push up top here from Nick Push's Horror Channel. Everybody knows Nick. And we've got at the bottom, we've got Bud from the Shape of Horror podcast. So what's going on, gentlemen?
Going good, man. Thanks for having us.
So, Nick, here's the question. Right off the bat. When's the last time Edit.
Edit.
Nick, tell us what's been going on, man.
Oh man, not too much. Damn, I got nothing here. I'm happy to be back with you guys in October. First time since 2020, when I didn't even know who Blake was, and Ronnie, I just knew your voice at the time. You guys did not invite me back last year, obviously, which was a disappointment. So I'm happy to be back.
Okay, Bud. This is the first time you've been on the channel, and you've been a big supporter of ours. And about supporter, I mean, you always mention us and talk about us nicely on your show. So we wanted to bring you on because anybody whose content that we like, we want to come on, get to know them, talk to them, bullshit, talk a movie. So how are things going with you?
Oh, things are going good. Getting ready to watch the Broncos and the Jets here in a little bit. So
that's awesome.
Looking forward to that.
It's football.
But yeah, man. I thank you guys for having me. This is like we've done a couple of things, but this is my first time on your channel.
And anyway, Blake, how are things? How are
things? It's things are really good. I'm in October so far. It's a little hot, but like I said, it still doesn't feel like October. But I'm excited. Week 1 in the books, Ronnie. We're rocking and rolling. How you think it's went so far?
This went fantastic because that's the only way it can go. Blake, this is one of your picks, The Faculty.
Now, was it one of my picks?
Yeah, this was one of your picks.
Okay.
And I saw this in the theater when it came out. That was during look. There's things that come across. I think it's Instagram. There's a couple of accounts you can follow where they show like the top movies of like 1997, 98, and of course it goes all the way through to now. When it got to like 97 and 98 and 99, I was telling my wife, I was like, I've seen like 15 to 16 of those movies. Faculty, I think I might have seen it like twice, Blake, because this is one of those movies. Being a horror guy, that I really, really liked the first time I watched it. I went back. And I really, really liked it the second time. I quickly bought it up on DVD when I got a DVD player, and I own it on DVD and VHS now. And it was a fun rewatch. I got to admit, it was a fun rewatch. I watched it early in the morning. There were some things I found that I want to talk about that didn't hold up, I guess.
Yeah.
But overall, it was still the same movie I remember.
Yeah, Ronnie, I'm really nostalgic about horror movies during this time, 1998, 1999, because I feel like this is when I branched away from you and started like doing my own thing. I wasn't being forced to watch horror movies all the time as a kid. I was able to select and pick, and in like 1997, 98, 99, I feel like is an underrated time for horror that nobody ever really talks about. You had this one, you had Urban Legend, you had Vampires, you had H2O.
Do you consider Vampires a horror movie?
Yes, 11-year-old Blake was scared of that, so I would.
Very underrated movie, in my opinion.
I think I Know What You Did Last Summer was one of them. Disturbing Behavior. And there was like a bunch of teen horror movies, like Bam, 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 Bam. I think Scream had a sequel in there.
Yeah, it was Scream came out in 96. It was Scream 2 came out in 97.
Yeah.
And then The Faculty came out in 1998.
Yeah, so I mean, it was like, I was 11, about to turn 12. It was just for me, it was a fun time for horror. I mean, I just had a huge catalog to choose from, and I'm super nostalgic about this. And boys, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, this movie was to me what The Thing is to y'all. And
I don't like the thing.
well, do you like The Faculty?
Wow, that's a hot take right there out of Bud.
What?
I love it.
I've just never been a fan of the thing.
What?
He may be the first person since we started doing the YouTube stuff, Blake, that like I know people in my personal life that don't like the thing.
Yeah.
He may be the first YouTuber I've good for you, Bud.
You're supposed to like all John Carpenter shit, Bud. What's your problem?
John Carpenter's a hit and miss director. He nailed Halloween, and then he just kind of.
You're right. I agree
That's
with
my
that
opinion.
100%.
John Carpenter lucked into Halloween, lightning in a bottle. Say what you will, lightning in a bottle. He didn't make that movie thinking it was going to be a masterpiece that people were worrying the piss out of him 50 years later. Okay. Then you go to The Thing, which I think he had high hopes for. And it's personally one of my favorite John Carpenter movies just because I'm a Kurt Russell guy.
Yeah.
I love Kurt Russell. So a lot of John Carpenter's movies are big with me. Big Trouble in Little China. I love that movie. I think it's got great action in it. And Kurt Russell's great in that movie playing the Jack Burton character.
I'm not a fan.
But after you get away from Big Trouble in Little China, I think the only thing you got left that you could talk about is Prince of Darkness.
Escape.
Prince of Darkness, Christy.
Yeah, Prince of Darkness is boring.
It is boring.
No, Prince of Darkness is good. It's good. It's good.
I like that movie, but there are some boring parts to Prince of Darkness. But there's a lot of like tension throughout that movie about what the hell is in these canisters that I do like.
I think the thing about The Thing, pun intended, is it flopped, and for various reasons, E.T. and all kinds of different studio interference and things like that. Yeah, and Porky's, yes. But that turned Carpenter just into a Hollywood rebel, right? Where he just was pissed off about the studios and stuff, and it kind of shaped the rest of his career. His anger about, The Thing flopping kind of shaped the rest of his career as far as different types of movies he was going to make.
Really?
Starman? Yeah.
Starman got over his anger on making a movie called Starman. He made Starman, right?
Starman was before The Thing. Wasn't that before The Thing?
Was
that
it?
was like 79.
No, it was after The Thing.
No. Starman was after.
Okay.
After The Thing.
What a rebel.
Jeff Bridges won an Oscar, right? Or nominated for an Oscar.
Starman?
I don't know.
Yeah, I believe Jeff Bridges was nominated for an Oscar. Somebody was it was Oscar nominated movie. Somebody was nominated for an Oscar.
I think you're thinking of E.T., Ronnie.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Probably.
I think it had like 4 or 5.
I'm thinking about Drew Barrymore and E.T.
All of Carpenter's movies bombed, right? Halloween didn't. But The Thing, Starman, Big Trouble in Little China was supposed to be a franchise.
Then he did the one with Chevy Chase, Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yes, I want to see that too.
No, you don't.
No,
You
I want to
don't
see
see
it
it.
just to say I saw it, Ronnie. But like
Oh.
Halloween bombed in the beginning. Like they all thought it was a miss. Like it was like what was it, guys? 2 months later that it actually caught on and made a ton of money. I mean, they all left that thinking it
word of
was a
mouth.
bomb after a month or two.
Yeah,
Stayed in the drive-in for.
they took it on the road. It started in Kansas City, and then they took it on the road. And
Ronnie, I forgot to mention that also made in 1998, the first POV movie you made me watch, The Last Broadcast.
Was that 98?
That's what my notes say, so that got to be true.
So Blair Witch Project must have been 99.
That was 99.
I don't know.
99. That's right.
Yeah, the Last Broadcast is a piece of shit.
New Jersey Devil.
Hi, I'm going to make a documentary, and at the end of it, I'm going to be the killer. Spoiler alert.
This movie was filmed in Lockhart, Texas. Bud, how close is that to Nick Push?
I believe to Nick Push.
Well, I realized I just
50.
gave away your location.
Lockhart's over by Austin, so yeah, makes sense. Well, dude, what's so funny?
I don't know why he's laughing. He's a laugher.
I'm just watching you read these notes.
My notes.
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Lean back. Talk to us.
All right.
All right, you good?
So, yeah.
he's got.
Bud was gonna take his shirt off for this show, but he's got tattooed across his chest. Edit. No.
All right. So, does anybody? I know Nick and Bud do their research. Does anybody know where The Faculty, 1998? Where the hell was this filmed?
Austin, Texas.
Do you guys know the actual school? Because one of my notes and one of the things I want to talk about is if you look in the background, I don't know if this is a good for me. I don't know if it's a bad, but I know I don't have it listed, but I still want to talk about it. The school is like a rundown shithole.
Yeah, it's like the East Side High and Lean on Me, but for white people.
Yeah, I mean, and it's 99% white
Right.
students at this school, and most of them seem like white trash. I mean, there's people slapping people.
Yeah.
Those two characters are great. The teachers are all either drunks or all messed up. It's obviously a football school. Just I just kept noticing in the background paint peeling, just shitty water fountains. The teachers' lounge looked like it was from 1958. But you look outside, and the football stadium is immaculate. It's a huge football stadium, green grass, firing off fireworks and things like that. But I think that added to the charm of this movie was the shitty little rat hole school that it was filmed in.
But was that purposeful? You know,
Yeah,
there's
it
that
was.
scene at the beginning where the teachers are asking for all these things, and the principal's like, no, we got to give it to the football stadium because that's our football team because the stadium's sold out every Friday night. Was that purposeful?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Believe it or not, that's how it works in Texas. That's real.
It maybe that was a way to get out of not having to fix up where they were at, Nick. Maybe it was a little run down. But you guys probably haven't seen Final Exam. Go watch the movie Final Exam just to look at the school in the background. It looks better than the school and the faculty, and it was an abandoned hospital that they were in. So, I mean, if they went to that much work to make it look run down, then bravo. But I'm thinking they tried to save some money, went into a shitty school, and bam, there you go. You guys, we've never done a good, bad, and the ugly with 4 people before. I don't think we did one the first week, Blake. This is how it works. We're going to have a couple of good, a couple of bad, and the ugliest person in the movie. So we'll go clockwise. Nick Push, I'll let you lead it off. What was your first good in this movie?
All right, my first good, and this is depending on your age, but for me, this is a good, and it's kind of piggybacking off of what Blake said earlier. This movie is so late 90s. It's ridiculous. For me, that is a positive, but I can see how, somebody that might be, younger than us or older than us, might think that dates the movie. But for me, I was in high school, early in high school, and this movie came out. And for me, that's just such a positive, as far as, the screamified movies of the late 90s, I just think this is one of the better ones. And it just, you can watch this movie and, whether it's the way it's shot, whether it's, the pretty people and the cast of young teenagers, you got Usher in there looking like a baby.
Oh, God.
It's crazy how late 90s this is. And for a lot of people, that might be a negative, but for me, the nostalgia bones in my body, that makes it a positive.
All right, bud.
Yeah, I don't have very many good things to say about the movie. There's a lot of hot women in it. I guess that would be good.
Granny in the shower.
Yeah, so Kevin Williamson, I believe, wrote this, right? So
yeah,
it was
right.
pretty much following the Scream formula, I thought. I guess that was kind of cool. Or had a little bit of a mystery to figure out who the queen, I guess, was. But it's just basically if they remade Breakfast Club as a sci-fi movie. Kind of what it feels like.
Well, what's great, one thing that's great about this movie is before the people start, and it was a different time back in 1998. The internet didn't have 18 months to start shitting all over the movie before it came out and blowing it apart. All you had was probably an Entertainment Weekly article and a trailer. Let's go see it.
Ronnie, do you remember this trailer? Because I do.
I do.
I remember the coach saying, "Please come to the principal office," and then him on the football field, doing that big smile when the big hit happens in the football game. Like, I remember the trailer vividly.
Believe it or not, Nick and Bud, I have both of those things on my list that I don't have to talk about now. The nostalgia factor of when this movie took place is great. There's not a damn cell phone in sight. It's just kids being kids. You can get in your car, disappear for 12 hours, go home, okay? You're grounded in your room. I think it was the early stages of the internet. He ripped his damn modem out of the wall, Shooter McGavin did.
Yeah.
But one thing I like about what Bud just said, this movie at the very beginning of it goes ahead and fixes any complaint that you might have because they know this is a ripoff of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. They know it's a ripoff of The Puppet Master. They know it's a ripoff of The Thing. And they're going to go, we don't care because we know the teen horror movie is in right now. We've got the teen horror movie guy. We got the Dawson's Creek guy. Write us a movie. We got Robert Rodriguez, who we know is going to make this thing look good. I think that's a major attraction to it is that they did an old formula with a new idea by throwing it in there and letting kids do it. So, I mean, I do like both of those things. Blake, you're up.
I agree with both of them, but to point out what Nick said, like when I watched this movie earlier, I didn't feel like it was dated. Like other than cell phones missing, I mean, am I wrong? Did I not pick up on something?
No. When I say dated, I mean, I don't mean it in a bad way. I just mean I'm nostalgic for that time.
Come on, Blake. He had Playboys under his mattress. Of course.
Okay.
Different time.
That's a good point. But you take the Playboys out. You take the
fucking iPads in the walls, Franco.
you take the cordless phone that Shooter McGavin takes away from. You take those two things out, and like this could take place at any year. You know, I mean, I don't know. My first good, Ronnie, is
Blake. Sorry. I gotta interrupt you for a second, Blake. Sorry about that. When I say dated, I just mean like back in that time, movies were shot a certain way. You know, movies were shot a certain way. You know, the movie posters are a certain way. You know, just with the cast and the floating heads and all that.
Yeah.
You know, the plot points of the movie, the actual like plot points and things like that. I don't think they're dated at all. So I agree with you. I just think kind of things in the late '90s were just done a certain way. For instance, like Halloween H2O, you got the view of Myers in the kid's eye. That came from Scream. Things were just done a different way back then. So but if you look at it from like a filmmaking perspective, it's dated, but not like the plot or anything like that.
I got you.
If that makes sense.
My first good, guys, is character development. Usually in a movie like this, everything is rushed and you don't really get to know the characters. You don't really care about them when they die. But like the first 15 minutes of this movie, I feel like just does a phenomenal job. I'm going to include character development with the opening scene of this movie because it does like this. Each teen character gets a title card freeze frame. And I really love that. And you find out right away, like Bud said earlier about the Breakfast Club, you find out we got a brain, a jock, a weirdo, a basket case, and what's left? Criminal?
Yeah.
No, a queen, the Delilah. Yeah.
Queen to be.
You find out so much about each character and their wants and their flaws and how each one of them are all unhappy in their own unique way. So that's going to be my first good. And I really want to talk about the opening scene too and how intense it is. Nick mentioned it earlier with the staff talking about what they want and need and they're not going to get it. And the whole chase scene between Principal Drake and the T-1000. And it's just that night shot in the school is really cool. And, Bud mentioned Scream. It reminds you of Scream a lot, or it reminded me of Scream.
They even use the Scream music.
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But I have a question for you guys. The redheaded teacher, I'm blanking on her name. When did she get infected? Was she infected the whole time, or that space in between when she came back, and then the principal left to go get her keys again the second time? Was she infected then?
I don't know. There's
was she pretending not to be infected because she was still acting all meek when she was asking the principal for something when the principal said, "Oh, I forgot my keys." I don't know.
I have no idea.
I was going to say that they can't pretend, but later in the show or later in the movie, you got like Red P. He's pretending like he's scared, wanting to get in. Like he's the first one that's like pretending to be who he was before. Up until that point, when they change, they just get real stone cold. So I don't know. Maybe Robert Patrick got her outside. And I was going to ask the question. The first scene of this movie is possibly the only time it feels like a true horror movie.
Yeah.
It's when the principal is getting chased around. I was going to say even the end of the movie may feel like a horror movie, but you could say that's more sci-fi when he's getting chased by the big queen. But I really believe that there's only a couple. This may be the only time in the movie that it feels like a true blue horror movie, and that's when they're doing the Kevin Williamson in every movie chase scene. And that leads me, Blake.
Ronnie, you talked about Stan coming back a while ago and saying, pretending, "Hey, let me in." We don't get this in The Thing. This is the first time the alien is, "Hey, it's better this way."
Yeah.
guys, it's better this way. Just let it happen. Like, this is the first time we hear the alien talk about it like that. And I thought that was such a cool moment, because everybody in this group, even Stan, the star quarterback, everybody in this group feels like a loser, and they want to fit in. And he's telling them, I don't know. I just thought it was a really cool concept.
Yeah, I think the introduction of the characters, one of my notes on here, it's not in my good or my bad, but one of the notes I have is they give us one of every type of character. They give us the nerd, Elijah Wood, who's about 2 weeks away from shooting the out of that school because of all the bullying that takes place. But people that were alive then, people that went to high school in the 90s, they know that's every day. Somebody was getting their ass picked on. Somebody was getting bullied. Somebody was getting beat up. Somebody was getting off the bus and getting slapped. I was sitting in the cafeteria. I saw some dude digging his ass, and then the guy smelled what was on his lip, and they started fighting. It was the funniest thing I ever seen. But that was just the 90s. Everybody beat the shit out of each other. They ripped face, and everybody
hung it out.
Yeah, everybody hung out that weekend and drank beer. Edit. So I don't know if it's a good thing that they give us every type of character. I mean, Delilah obviously is the head cheerleader. Red is the quarterback at all 5'4" of him, and Usher's 5'3", and he's a star running back. The biggest thing the biggest piece of fiction in this damn movie, boys, is that Red and Usher were starting on a football team.
That ain't no bullshit.
In a football town, yeah.
In a football town.
Especially in Texas.
What that did, like what Blake and Ronnie just described, with the characters. Here's what that did. We learned something, like Blake said, about each one of these characters at the beginning of the movie. And then we see the change in behavior or, different type of personality in those characters. So it created the mystery element. Zeke, we find out, is smart. Stan wants to quit the football team. Delilah all of a sudden stops wearing makeup and so on. So it creates a mystery element, like, oh, they could be infected because their behavior has changed. It really helped, you as an audience member, start to question in the back of your mind whether one of these kids is infected and they've infiltrated the group, which obviously we later found out. But it helped us, feel like it could be any one of them, to be honest.
But some of these characters really didn't need an introduction, because I don't know any more about Stokely at the end of the movie than I did at the beginning of the movie, other than she doesn't know what shampoo is or Clearasil wipes for that face. I think it was a cool thing back in the late 90s, mid to late 90s, to do the Tarantino thing and try to focus on each individual character. What was that movie? Go. With Timothy Oliphant, it did that. I mean, I guess it gives you somebody to root for, but I could complain that a lot of these characters don't have a lot of depth. Why should I be rooting for Delilah, who may be the most horrible person in this movie, and I'm counting the monster from outer space in that?
Yeah, she's a pretty big homophobe, wasn't she?
Ronnie, why do you care about Molly Ringwald in Breakfast Club?
I don't.
There you go.
I don't care about anybody.
I know.
In this movie, the whole world could have blew up like in Amazon Women on the Moon, and I wouldn't have gave a shit. Edit. So Blake, leading into my first good, Robert Patrick, the T-1000. He is fantastic in this movie. He plays a coach at the very beginning of it that is absolutely insane. I've seen people like that before. He gets a running start and dumps over the water and the bench. Later on, he's the first one, I'm guessing, that gets infected by these horrible things that eat their way through your ears. He plays the psycho chasing around Lilith from Cheers and Frasier.
You said Robert Patrick was the first one infected. Do you think like it was planned by Mary Beth what order she was going to get that faculty in? I mean, or do you like was it a strategy to get the coach first and then go for the principal and the other teachers, or was he just happened to be the first one she walked up on?
Well, you got to get all the strong football players first, right?
Blake, to answer your question, I don't think there was a plan. If she had a plan, first off, let me finish about Robert Patrick real quick. I think he gives the best performance in the movie because he plays a psycho. He plays a calm, cool, and collective killer that's running around trying to get Lilith from Cheers. And then when the redheaded guy comes up to him and says he wants to quit, he's like, okay, whatever you want to do. And I mean, he's really calm.
Yeah.
He's crazy. I think his range of acting in this movie was better than anybody else. You guys can agree or disagree with me, but he's probably the best part of this movie for me. Now, to answer your question, does Mary Beth, Louise, Parker, whatever, does she have a plan? Well, Bud said you get the football players first, but they didn't do that. They got Robert Patrick, who in turn got Lilith, who in turn they got the old lady.
Okay, maybe you get the teachers first.
Yeah, they got the faculty first. So now I have another question about this. If there's one central host that controls all the other ones, why do they have different personalities? Or is Blondie controlling everything every one of them says?
Well, it's the same conversation we had in the thing, Ronnie. Like, does each thing have its own mind and want to do its own thing, or is it all controlled by the queen?
So if the queen is with these kids the entire time, at any point she can lure, especially after they've taken over the whole school, they can swarm that house and get all of those guys, and the threat is over.
Well, why else would one of the teachers pull up outside Zeke's house when they're in there doing the drug test?
Well, you could say she wants to find the rest of the scat and throw it away and destroy it. But then again, she could take out her threat after it's destroyed by everybody swarming that house and infecting those people. That doesn't happen. She still continues to play the Mary Beth, whatever her name, role until the very end when she reveals herself to Goth Molly Ringwald. So, I mean, there's a lot of things in this I don't understand. Like, this entire town is infected pretty quickly. This school is infected pretty quickly. Why the hell do they continue to have class? You still got aliens pretending to be teachers and now students that are infected pretending to be students. So, I got to question that a little bit. It seems like we're going to march these people through town and let's go ahead and start infecting everybody else and work over to the next town. Now, somebody could say, hey, they wanted to play the football game against the next big rival and get all those people in the bleachers and they can go back to their town and it spreads like that. But just the whole charade of we're still having school, we're still pretending to be police officers, it don't really make a lot of sense considering there's one central host that can cause all of them to die.
I did not think of that.
So what you're saying, it was a flimsy plot. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying they threw a bunch of kids into a movie and said, we're going to make Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And they made a lot of money with it. But I always say this because I really do like this movie because there's a lot of good tension in this movie. Is you're not supposed to ask those questions. This is a horror movie. You're not watching The Godfather. I mean, seriously. I mean, just enjoy it and have fun.
My next good is the plot.
Nick, you're back up, bud.
Sure. My next good is the cast. And it's easy to say, okay, a cast of kids, but look at the adult cast. Jon Stewart, Selma Hayek, Kruger from Seinfeld, Shooter McGavin. The adult cast here is pretty ridiculously strong for a movie like this. And did they all bring their A games? No, but they're pretty solid in my opinion. So, it's easy to look at the kids, like I said, but my next good is the cast of adults, which, in a movie titled The Faculty, it's nice that they were able to get some decent actors and well-known people to play those parts.
I always laugh at Jon Stewart, especially when he's got facial hair. Jon Stewart hitting on Selma Hayek in this movie. When he's trying to act tough, when he gets infected, sit down. And then the kid beat his ass.
Selma Hayek was wasted in this.
I think it was just a thing.
She should have been dressed in the sexy red dress instead of the other one. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have made her sexier after she got infected.
Well, they let her drop her hair down. But I think it was just Salma Hayek was in all of Robert Rodriguez's movies. I don't know if if that's still a thing. But back when he first started, she was in every single one of his movies. So I think this was a way just to get her in there and not have her go to too much trouble. Bud, you're up.
Yeah, I don't have a lot of good. I would say maybe the quality of the filmmaking, the look. If you look, Shooter McGavin's house looks just like the Myers house. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that. When Casey's jumping out of the window to jump off the roof.
Yeah.
The three teachers await him. Go back and watch. Looks just like the Myers house. So,
did that really happen?
Yeah.
No, seriously. No. Were those three teachers really on the sidewalk, or was he imagining that he was freaking out?
I see what you're saying.
Was
it in his head or?
Yeah, was it in his head? Was he freaking out because of all having seen all this?
They have to be there because they noticed that these kids were onto them. So they had to go change them before they got the word out, right?
Well, why didn't they go in and go after the family then if they were there?
Well, they tried to, but Casey steered. You remember she wanted to talk to his mother. So here, let me come talk to you in private. And he was like, no, we'll go.
No, what I'm talking about is at the actual house when he falls out the window into the bush. He falls out the window because he sees them standing on the sidewalk staring at his house. And when he hits the bush, Shooter McGavin's there going, what the hell you doing? And he looks over and they're gone. So I'm wondering if he imagined them on his sidewalk or if they were really there. And if they were really there, what's stopping them from going in and getting the parents and the kid right then?
It's called breaking and entering, Ronnie.
B&E, Randy.
Or it's just, like you said, it's just a bad plot.
Ronnie, I had the coach on my list, but since you already went over that, I'll skip to the next one. I'm going to put intense, fun scenes. And I'm also going to throw in soundtrack, too.
That's great.
Soundtrack's really good, but there's a couple of scenes I want to point out. The walk from Jon Stewart, whose teacher's name is Edward Furlong.
Is it really? Is his first name Edward?
Yeah, it's Edward Furlong. The walk from that classroom. And
not my father, Todd.
Stokely's line, isn't this the part where someone says, let's get the F out of here? Let's get the F out of here. The walk from classroom to parking lot with the entire school staring at them because the entire school is infected, and the song and the music playing, I thought that was a really well done scene. You had another one. I mentioned the football game earlier. Some really cool music playing, some highlights, some big hits. Ronnie, you mentioned the fireworks going off in the background. The coach, playing it up. Which now that I think about it, like, why is Coach on the sideline? This alien, But you get the cool scene of every tackle that's made. They're transferring the thing into the opponent. I mean, and that's such a cool concept because this is what would happen in John Carpenter's movie if it didn't take place in Antarctica. That's how fast Blair was talking about assimilation would happen. I mean, they're going to take over the world in less than 3 days. So, yeah, and then there's another cool, intense scene where they've decided we got to find the master. They call it the master a couple of times. And then they switch over to calling it the Queen, so that kind of gives it away that it's a lady. But there's a cool scene where the redheaded teacher and Principal Drake are in the bleachers, and everybody sits down, and they immediately look over and see our group of kids who are the only humans that appear to be left. So that's my next good is the soundtrack and a couple of cool, intense scenes. I don't want to leave out Casey and Zeke being chased around the football parking lot, the school bus and all. I thought to get to his car, to get to his stash. I thought that was a really well done scene too, Ronnie.
You just took my everybody's taking mine. So I got the tension as well. The tension of when they know the has gotten real, edit. They don't know who to trust. And it leads them to the thing scene that they do because we haven't brought up the fact that Josh Hartnett's selling meth. Okay.
Yeah. He has a meth lab in his basement.
Yeah. His parents are rich and they leave him at home by himself. He's failed his senior year. Fun fact, he wouldn't be playing football at the end of the movie because he's not eligible. He failed the year before. Yeah. Doesn't work like that. That's the second biggest piece of fiction in this movie. He's a meth dealer. He's selling meth to everybody. He's probably the reason Danny Masterson was raping those people in that cult because he's selling him that scat at the very beginning of the movie. And the dude with the long hair, Dazed and Confused, the guy with the long hair from Dazed and Confused, him and Danny Masterson are buying scat and fake IDs, and they're buying porno tapes. That dates the movie a little bit. People were buying Jennifer Love Hewitt nude porno tapes out of his trunk. This dude literally had it going on. But the thing scene that they have where everybody has to snort it, and the blonde chick immediately sets the tone with, if I do that, I'm allergic to aspirin. That would kill me. Well, we don't care. Okay, so we go through all of these characters who sniff this stuff, and I thought this could have been a really good scene, but then the giggling ruins it. I mean, but the tension of the movie, will they get it? Is there somebody secretly in the group that's infected that we don't know about? We find out a couple of times. Stokely at the end of it when she gets in the pool with the Queen. It's just there's a lot of things in this movie, like you said, Blake. The car scene at the end. I knew that car was going to have to get involved. Hartnett had an awesome car, but the tension in the movie is done very, very well, especially towards the end of the movie.
Yeah, they kind of give away that Delilah and Mary Beth are the infected ones. If you remember, when they're tearing ass out of there in Zeke's car. They have a nice close-up shot of those two sitting in the back seat. So they followed along like they did in Scream, where they gave us all the hints on who the bad ones were.
I
They
noticed
always,
that.
yeah. So they
Here's-
were always telling you who not to trust in this.
I'm the worst movie watcher. I never pick up on these things.
Yeah.
Here's the
I didn't
deal.
notice.
At the very end of the movie, he stabs the queen in the eye with the scat or whatever the hell it's called. At that exact moment, the queen spits out like 50 of the things that eat through his face. Why wasn't this used earlier? Like this queen could have took down like a Gatling gun, could have took down a whole crowd of people just by shooting these things. And these things, like I said, it's shown that they have teeth because it bites Jon Stewart in a funny scene as a teacher who says GD it and drops the F-bomb in front of them. But they eat through Elijah Wood's face. And then as the thing slowly dies and fades away, these things fall out of his face, but the wounds are healing. So I didn't really understand why he should still have open, fresh wounds where these creatures eat through his face. So, I mean, I know the reason they don't do that. They don't want a freak at the end of the movie. But I'm just saying, I had a hard time wondering, do these aliens have healing factor? Like that was one of my notes until I got to the end of the movie. And I was like, no shit, they got a healing factor. They just shot this one in the head. But the coach at the very beginning of it gets hit in the face with keys and gets something bashed over his head. But he still got like scar marks the next day. It seems
like the water, the healing property, maybe.
You're probably right on that, bud. It probably is the water that heals them all the way, because as the movie goes, the coach looks more and more normal. And then, like I said, Lilith, the principal, gets shot in the head, and then the bugs, the aliens fix her before they dash her with that stuff. Here's a question: is she still alive? I know Blake.
Yes, she's 91.
She's alive at the end of it. No, I'm talking about in the movie.
Oh, you mean in real life? Sorry. Oh, I thought you were talking about the old. I'm sorry.
The picture of the mange in the shower.
Edit.
Nick, do you have any more good?
No, I think as far as I'm concerned, that covered everything I wanted to talk about with the goods.
Bud, you got any more good?
I can't think of anything.
Blake, I know you got more good.
Yeah, real quick. I got 9 more good, Ronnie.
All right, hit me with it.
No, my last good is the tribute to the movie The Thing, and it's going to be the drug test scene, which you already went over very well. I enjoyed it. I get what you're saying, that the giggling kind of ruined the intensity of it, and I can see that point. But I'll be honest with you, 11-year-old Blake loved it when they just randomly started giggling. I'm not big on drug humor, but yeah, I mean.
Well, I mean, they thought they were snorting crank, so maybe it was like placebo. I don't know.
Placebo. And the other thing tribute is when Zeke crashes his car and she goes through the window, her head becomes like a spider, and that's clearly a tribute to to John Carpenter's The Thing. So that's my last good, Ronnie. Is I really love those two scenes.
Not to mention, when they cut Jon Stewart's fingers off, they all turn into separate entities. All those fingers are crawling around.
Yeah. And I actually thought on this rewatch, obviously I know Mary Beth is the queen, but on this rewatch, I'm like, that's when Mary Beth could have got infected if she was, a normal girl. Is the fingers crawl right to her and she goes, and then it's a cutscene. Like you don't see what happened to the fingers, right? You don't, do you? So there you go.
No.
I think they dissolve whenever Jon Stewart, the white powder goes into his eye. Okay, we'll get to that. I know that's going to be one of your bads.
For sure.
Faux show. Nick Push. Any bads?
Yes. I thought the ending, it was just wrapped up in way too neat of a bow. And maybe it's just because I'm being a little too hard on this movie. It's a fun movie, like you guys said. But you guys mentioned Invasion of the Body Snatchers earlier. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. And that's just a bleak ending, with Donald Sutherland. Oh, sorry. But you guys haven't done that on 30. You guys haven't done that one? But anyway, it's a bleak ending. And I just thought this was wrapped up in way too neat of a bow. Casey gets the girl. Isn't he on like Time Magazine or some shit?
He's on everything. National Geographic with some.
Yeah. And it just wrapped up too.
He could be in Time Magazine, Blake.
Hell, National Geographic.
Go ahead, Nick. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Tremors reference takes precedence. But no, I just thought it was too. It just the stakes of the movie. The whole world could get infected. The fact that they're just able to crush the queen behind some bleachers and then everybody's cured. I just thought it was just too neat for my taste.
Ronnie, can I go ahead? I have the same one as my bad.
It's
the cop out ending. They kill the queen and everyone fixes itself. I know Stokely, referred to it. If we kill the queen, theoretically, everybody else turns back to human. I think it's just such a cop out. If they would have gave us a Carpenter style ending where we don't, everything's not great. Not everybody's fit. Like, people actually died. I think this movie would have been taken to the next level. But instead, everything fixes itself. And the nerd gets the girl. And the nerd girl gets the jock. And, Zeke is still selling drugs. And it's just, I don't know. I think if we would have got a more negative ending, and it don't have to end negative. Like, it could still end with them winning, but Jon Stewart's dead. The principal's dead. The teachers that went through Zeke's car window is dead. Certain students are dead. In the movie, like that. I don't know. I think this movie. I really enjoy this movie. I can tell you guys, the three of you, don't like this movie as much as me, and that's fine. It's a. I think it's a issue. I was born in '86, but
I love this movie.
No, you don't. You hate it. But I think with a more serious ending, this movie is taken to another level, and it's unfortunate we didn't get it.
So you want this movie to have an ending like Slither, where the sheriff, the sheriff and the chick are walking away with their wounds, as everybody in the town is dead because they just killed the queen alien, and they're just walking away like, what the F just happened?
Why not?
You want that kind of, well, I mean, yeah. I agree with you 100%. I think it's a cop out, but I think it also leads to some great questions. Like I asked you guys earlier, is Lilith, the principal, is she alive? Because she was like disintegrated when they threw that whole thing of white powder on her. So there's nothing for her to come back to. How is Jon Stewart still alive, though, at the end of the movie when he got stabbed in the eye and it should have hollowed him out as well? His fingers wasn't back. That's not a complete cop-out. He'd lost his fingers because he couldn't hold on to the donut at the end of it. I'm like you, though. I think the whole town should have been dead. But also, you got to remember, this was, whether you want to believe it or not, this is marketed towards teenagers, and it's marketed towards the 20s crowd, the people that loved the teen slasher movies, that the whodunits that Scream made popular again in '96. And Kevin Williamson doesn't write like that. He doesn't write the negative ending. And so we get everybody back alive and school going as normal. Nobody's learned anything. There's no character depth. Delilah moved on from the quarterback to another 5'4" guy. Stokely is not gay. The Sound of Freedom guys will be on that campus in no time because there's a pedophile ring because Femke Janssen or whatever her name is one of those kids edit. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things it could branch off from. We could get Caviezel there. He's trying to, stealing kids and shit like that. So that's what I got out of it. All right, bud, go ahead. What's your bad?
All right, the O-line of Harrington High Hornets, man, they're so bad they made Stan give up football. There's one. Usher's character, his insults were ridiculous. He called, what's his name, Casey? He called him a piss watch and a needle probe.
Yeah.
Like that, there's just a lot of bad dialogue like that.
I can't take Usher seriously as a bully.
Yeah, it just played pretty terrible, but yeah, those are some of my bads.
This movie was heavily advertised with Usher too. For him to only be in it for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Well, they said.
How did we not get an Usher song?
Because they're willing to go so far, but they're not willing to go all the way. No Usher songs. I mean, what is an Usher song, Blake? Can anybody?
Yeah, you got it.
My way, right? My way, right?
My way, yeah.
My way.
In '98, it was My Way.
Hold on,
yeah,
dude, I have no clue.
Ronnie, I just remember your roommate singing "Yeah" by Usher in like 03 or 04.
I've never heard that.
Yeah. You never heard?
Awful.
Yes, you have.
Ronnie, do "Yeah" by Usher.
I've never heard it.
"Yeah" by Usher could close this thing out.
Peace up, A-Town.
Oh, I've heard that one.
I've heard that song. Okay, there
Yeah.
you go. So yeah, Usher sucks. I wish.
Was
he
this
would've got
movie
shot
the
dead.
start of Bedhead?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God, yeah.
yeah. That was the thing too. Entertainment Weekly talking about the hairstyle
It was
that
like he was bouncing from set to set, from H2O to the faculty.
that was his
Yeah.
unique style of hair up until I believe Pearl Harbor. I could be wrong on that, but I
Yes.
think they made him cut his hair for Pearl Harbor.
Or what about
Michael
40
Bay
Days,
was-
40 Nights?
That was after Pearl
Well,
Harbor.
you know,
Right.
I know it came out a
Was it?
couple
Okay.
months ago, but Oppenheimer, Josh Hartnett was fantastic.
Did he have Bedhead?
He did not have bedhead. He looked like a normal, well-rounded human being.
The message that the movie sends that drugs save the day is not something I agree with, and I was going to see if you guys picked up on that. Like if you manufacture drugs in your home and you sell them to minors, that good things will happen. I don't
Get you
know.
a nice GTO, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with the message that we're throwing out there.
Yeah, nobody ever. I mean, if the faculty knows he's selling drugs on campus, it doesn't matter if he's sitting on his damn car. You kick his ass out of school, your ass has got to go. Go home and brush your hair, like LL Cool J told him. They move right past the he's a drug dealer thing, and they try to make him a multi-layered character, which he's supposed to be super smart. When John Stewart is looking under the microscope at this thing, and here's the thing. Elijah Woods finds this thing on the football field, like one of them is dried out. If she's the queen, how did she let this little one dry out? Or is it one that just didn't find somebody to eat into their brain? But when she throws it into the water, it immediately replicates. So we're supposed to believe that these things inside of our body are replicating and replicating and replicating. Is there a situation like Slither where eventually they just burst out of the host? And what sense would that make anyway? John Stewart working at a high school is not going to know any of the stuff about cutting open that alien. And surely Josh Hartnett's meth selling ass is not going to come over there, no matter how smart you are, and take over for him and know all the things about, insects and reptilians and things like that. Makes zero sense.
See,
It's just
I love
caffeine and
that.
some household products. That's all it is.
I love that aspect of it, Ronnie. I love that this is a really, really smart kid that just doesn't apply himself to schoolwork. Like, I don't know. I thought that was a really cool character.
He's got no parents. Why the hell is he showing up at the school? And of course, one of you guys are going to say to sell his drugs. So now I'm just going to shut up over here in the corner. All right, guys, let's get to the ugly. Nick Push. Who is the ugliest person in this movie?
That's John Stewart's goatee. I can't take him seriously. I just can't. I wanted to go with a couple other characters, but John Stewart wins for me.
Bud, who's the ugliest person in the movie?
Well, I think Dan and Stokely as a couple are the ugliest persons because they basically look like cousins, number one. And it's kind of poetic that they ended up together. The two ugly people ended up together. That's what I have.
A couple of things, Blake. When Stan's the man, when he finally becomes infected, the next scene we see him, he's got his effing football shoulder pads on, walking with the rest of the football team. What sense does that make?
Well, he booked ass out of there. If you remember, when they wouldn't let him in, he just took off.
He just took off
He had
running.
to go run and put on his uniform.
He's walking around with the football team with his shoulder pads. So the alien wanted to put the shoulder pads on like everybody else. Makes zero sense. Blake, who's the ugliest person in this movie?
Ronnie, I don't have a character name, but there he is. There's a fat ass redhead sitting in the faculty lounge when Robert Patrick first walks in after he's been taken over, and it cuts to him, and
Jesus, coach is thirsty.
He's just a enormous bag of shit, and unfortunately has red hair too. So to me, red hair.
You know who that is, right?
I don't.
He ran a big
marathon
internet blog. He's an internet nerd.
That's the hell of a name. Fuck.
And
he
ended
you're right, bud. You're right.
What's his name?
Got a
Harry
YouTube
Knowles.
channel, I think.
Yeah, he ended up
he's got a
getting
YouTube
canceled
channel,
because
if
he
I'm not
was.
mistaken.
Yeah,
he got canceled.
He got canceled because he was like hitting on all the bitches that work for him.
We could probably get him on the show then.
Ain't it cool news? That's what it was.
Well, I think.
What do you think
this
he
slob-
teaches? What subject?
Well, she mentions that he got his hand cut in the projector. So I'm guessing That was if it was Ain't It Cool News around in '98? I don't know.
Yeah, that was a huge. That was the heyday of internet movie sites were the thing in
That's
the
probably
dawning
why
of the
that's
internet.
probably why he's in it.
Yeah, so it'd be like if they made a remake and they put one of us in it. That'd be the same thing.
I'd love it.
We're famous horror YouTubers.
We're not famous. You guys are famous, not
No.
us. Blake, the ugliest person in this movie, because you're all wrong, is Stokely. Well, Bud's half right. Stokely is an ugly human being. Her hair somehow is just as greasy as who's the main character in the new Scream trilogy, Nick? Samantha? Here's a video you guys need to make before me and Blake make it. Why the hell is the main character's hair in Scream 6 so greasy the entire movie? Edit. Thank you, Blake. But her hair is greasy. Like I'm gonna take Brill cream and part my hair right down the center, 1985 style, and it is disgusting the entire movie. And Stokely somehow manages to outdo it. She's ugly, terrible personality. The voice sounds like somebody that smokes unfiltered Camels 24 hours a day. We don't know if she's we don't know what she is. She likes red. It's over with. She's the ugliest in this movie.
I mean, I know I'm in the minority here, but I was into this look for a long time. I thought she had it going on.
What about when
Goes to Mars? Are you finna do Ghost to Mars on me?
Cut that off edit.
That's another movie that like I love Ghost to Mars.
John Carpenter movie.
I love Ghost to Mars when it came out because I think it's such a cool story and concept. But if you watch that back, it is an enormous piece of shit. It looks terrible.
It's still the only movie I've ever fallen asleep in the theater.
Ice Cube is on record saying, like, I thought I was signing up for a John Carpenter movie, and it looks like some 80s shit.
How about Escape from LA? Escape from LA comes out. One of his, we didn't mention Escape from New York earlier in the show. Escape from LA comes out. Jurassic Park was made 3 years before. So the technology's there. And we got effing Snake Plissken on a green screen surfing beside Steve Buscemi. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, I don't give a shit that there's better technology out here. We're going to use this synthesizer right here because everybody loves it. And we're going to use this green screen. If you don't like it, we're going to run this train across these model tracks and Ghost to Mars. I'm John Carpenter, damn it. I actually like Ghost to Mars.
I haven't seen it. I haven't seen that or Escape from LA.
Really?
Do yourself a favor. Don't watch LA.
Yeah.
LA is brutal.
Done.
I went to H45 a couple of months ago, Blake, or a month ago, whenever it was.
I think it's in 2 weeks.
I would have.
It was like a week ago. No, it was like 9 days ago.
I would have asked John Carpenter why he didn't make more good movies like Halloween. Why'd you make so many shitty movies, dude? And just to see what he said.
Why would you make 10 shitty movies after Halloween? Where's the logic in that, John? And also, is a 3-2 defense the best defense to run in basketball?
And
could you imagine all these Halloween fans would like rush you, man? They beat the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Oh. They would rush us, but they wouldn't be
5'3".
All right, well, that'll do it for day 8, Blake.
Thumbs up, Ronnie.
In the books. And before we whisk away, Nick, you want to plug anything? What do you got coming up, Nick? What do you got coming up? What's on the channel this week, Nick?
I don't feel like plugging anything. Fuck it.
Guys,
I'm not plugging anything. I'm done. I'm done plugging.
Go check out Nick Push's horror channel. Very, 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 very amazing channel. And when I say we watch Nick Push, all of his content, even his shorts,
that's right,
and the YouTube shorts as well. I'm not lying. I love his content. I love Nick Push. Everything on his channel is great. Bud, what do you got coming out on your channel this week? The Shape of Horror podcast.
What are we talking about on
Rewind Trivia this week? I don't. When is the
Bud? What do you got going on your channel this week?
Well, me and Blake, we're going to start the Rewind Trivia up again. We're going to do the big Halloween final exam that I've been promoting. So I've been working hard on the questions, and we look forward to finding out who knows the most about Halloween.
Okay, Blake, 8 days in the books.
Yeah.
We're rocking and rolling. Everything's good. We've just got to make it 23 more days.
Yeah.
23 more days.
It
Not
hasn't been that bad so far, Ronnie. I got to be honest with you. This has been my favorite review so far.
Mine too. It feels like it's actually the first one. Like the first week flew by so easily.
Yeah.
And then happens, without a fret, that this one feels like it's the first one. And thanks to these two guys for coming on, because it's not. And look, here's the one thing I want to talk about before I go. Get on my soapbox.
Okay.
First off, we don't do other people's shows. Okay.
We don't?
No, but we will do Nick Push's channel anytime he asks, and now we will do Bud's channel until he pisses us off anytime he asks, because we like these guys. They seem like really good guys. I'm saying seem because they could get arrested at any moment, and depending on what it's for, we don't want to be associated with them. My bad. But for right now, they're great guys. We like their channels. Their content's great. I fell out of my chair is the reason that happened, Blake.
Oh, okay. I was wondering. I was at the end of the damn show.
I fell out of my chair and I hit the button. So these guys are great. Their content is really, really good. Go check it out. Bud's channel. I really enjoy, even though I give him hell, I think he thought I was serious. I really enjoy his Halloween retrospectives that he did on the movies, the live streams that he did. And anytime Nick Push goes live, it's always great. So these guys managed to take stuff that every other channel does, and they make it unique for the viewer. And that's the reason these guys are good, and they're really good live. So go check out their channels, give them a sub, and tell them that we sent you guys. Thank you for coming on for 31 days. We really appreciate it. It's not easy to go on somebody else's channel and do their format, and you never know if the people are going to be dickheads or, ask you why you're looking down or why you're wearing the same jacket or stuff like that. So we really appreciate you guys. We hope you know that. And Blake?
Yeah, bud.
I'll see you tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow, man. I'll be here.